A young child goes toward an electrical outlet while holding chopsticks. The parents are startled and urgently stop the child. The child is startled and cries. After that event, the parents expect the child not to do it again. But what if the next day that child goes toward the outlet again while holding chopsticks? Even after being stopped once, the child goes again. Instead of becoming frightened and stopping, the child moves toward the outlet again. This mind is SC. SC is not simply a mind that does not listen. It is a mind that is not completely broken just because it was blocked once. It moves again, and tries to express its own direction. Underneath it, there is this kind of power. I do not want to live only in an ordinary way. I do not want to follow only the path others have set. I want to try it in my own way. In other words, SC is the mind that wants to write its own story. It is a unique center that does not stay only inside a frame made by others, but tries to live in its own way. Let's think of another scene. A toddling child goes out for a walk with the mother. The mother asks to hold hands, but the child shakes off the hand and wants to walk alone. The child even runs a little. The mother says, "Do not run," and holds the child's hand again. But the child shakes off that hand again and tries to go alone. This goes one step beyond simply moving however the child wants. Even after being held, the child runs again. Even when told to stop, the child insists on its own path. At this point, we can see the difference between FC and SC, which may look similar. If FC is the mind that says, "I want to do it now," SC is the mind that says, "Still, I will go my own way." FC is closer to the desire of the moment coming out first. SC is the mind that tries to push forward in its own direction again, even when that desire is blocked. SCU, the aspiring self in Torbit TA, does not exist in the same form in existing transactional analysis. SC is a concept rebuilt by bringing together part of the intuitive and original power once called the little professor and the energy of RC, the rebellious child, which is now almost gone. So SC is not simply a mind that does not listen. This ego state contains a wider energy that cannot be explained by rebellion alone. It helps us understand people whose strength becomes more alive in difficulty, people who create special ideas, and people who push forward their own narrative. So the S in SC does not simply mean rebellion. It means special. It is energy that does not move only with the ordinary flow, but tries to become special in its own way. A person with high SCE has a clear feature. When difficulty comes, they often gain even more strength. Many people shrink when a crisis comes. They want to find stability and move toward a side that does not shake. People with high AC often endure with patience. For example, when a crisis comes to a small business, a person with high AC may first put energy into opening the shop every day and enduring. That alone is remarkable, but the method may not change much. A person with high SC often moves differently. When a problem appears, they try to find a breakthrough inside it. If customers decrease, they may try a new menu, change the shop layout, or promote the shop in an unexpected way. They focus more than usual, push harder, and endure more. So these people may look unusually strong in difficulty. They are people who shine more in crisis than in calm times. In some ways, difficulty itself seems to awaken their energy. This power also appears in ideas. In the Siosan Reclamation Project in the 1980s, the final construction reportedly faced a major difficulty. Because of strong tidal currents, no matter how many stones were poured in, they were all washed away. At the moment when everyone thought it was impossible, a completely different method appeared. A giant retired oil tanker was brought in and sunk where the current was strongest, blocking the flow. This kind of idea shows SC well. It does not look for answers only inside the fixed method. When blocked, it creates a new side path. The more impossible a situation looks, the more it moves toward breaking the frame. So among people with high SC, many may have an entrepreneurial temperament, prefer independent work, or show strength in work that requires creative problem solving rather than a fixed frame. They are more drawn to challenge, pioneering, and breakthrough than to stable repetition. They may feel alive when they create their own path, rather than walk an ordinary path for a long time. So SC is also the pioneer energy inside us. It is the power that does not end. Just because it was blocked once does not give up just because it was held back and pushes forward again. However, strong SC does not mean this power is always used well. When this power loses direction, breakthrough becomes stubbornness and specialness becomes isolation. The core of SC is resistance energy. The question is what it resists. If it resists difficulty and adversity, the person can train themselves and move forward. But if it begins to resist law, ethics, order, and the standards of a community, that power can flow toward lawlessness. In the past, when I looked at the egograms of students in a juvenile reformatory, there were many cases where SC appeared especially high. That scene shows the two sides of this ego state well. It means there is great energy. It means the power to push forward, collide, and go beyond is stronger than the power to adapt ordinarily. When that power goes in a good direction, it becomes the narrative of a hero. When it goes in a harmful direction, it becomes the narrative of an outlaw. In other words, SC itself is not the problem. The problem is where that power is directed. A comedian who strongly uses SC may use humor that puts others down in order to show their own specialness. At first, it can look witty and clever, and the person may become popular. But that method does not last long. Even while viewers laugh, they gradually feel fatigue and discomfort. Laughter made by evaluating and pressing others down eventually loses support. So even if a person receives attention for a time, they may lose popularity and disappear from the screen. A similar problem appears inside relationships. A person with strong SC may insist on their own path, fail to listen to other people's advice, collide with the flow of the community, or become trapped inside a wall where only they feel right. So the shadow of this ego state is not simple rebellion. It is the problem of non-communication and isolation that appears when the power of I must be different from others is used poorly. Let's return to the outlet story from the beginning. The mind of the child who goes again the next day, even though the parents stop the child, looks dangerous. It is clearly stubborn and disobedient. But from another angle, this child did not completely lose their own energy after being stopped once. The power to express their own will again remains, even after being blocked. This power is dangerous when used poorly. But if it grows well, it becomes grit that is not easily broken. The scene of shaking off the mother's hand again is the same. On the outside, it looks like trouble, but underneath it, there is a seed of independence that says, I want to try it myself. This seed can grow into the power not to live only as others direct, even in difficult situations. On the other hand, specialness that looks like an advantage can also become a shadow. For example, a special idea can become a power that changes the world. But if that specialness turns into the compulsion, I am alive only when I am different from others, the person may have trouble enduring ordinary cooperation and steady relationships. Sharp humor can also become wit. But if a person begins to put others down in order to prove their own specialness, that wit is difficult to love for long. So people who last long do not only attack others. They lower themselves too, or use themselves as material for laughter, keeping balance. Specialness can save people. But if it is not tuned, it can also become a wall that pushes relationships away. Here, the difference between SC and other ego states becomes clearer. If FC is I just want to do it now, SC is closer to I am special when I do it this way. If AC tries to hide because it is conscious of others' eyes, SC tries to stand out more because it is conscious of others' eyes. In other words, SC is neither an ego state that is completely unaware of others, nor an ego state that adapts to others. It is the mind that looks into the mirror called others and wants to place a special self in front of that mirror. So what matters in SC is not removing this energy. It is setting the direction well. When it is used toward adversity, it becomes breakthrough. When it is used toward life's difficulties, it becomes resilience. When it is used toward a problem that looks impossible, it becomes creativity. But if it is used in a direction that breaks even the basic lines of law, ethics, and relationships, that energy can hurt both oneself and others. SC is like a knife. Depending on who holds it and how, it can become a tool that saves people or a tool that harms people. So SC is not a mind that must be pressed down unconditionally. It is also a power that lets us write the hero narrative inside us. However, that specialness shines most healthily only when it flows not into display for oneself alone, but into a direction that breaks through life. Now let's look at the background of SC. SC is not simply RC with a changed name, now that RC is almost gone. It is an ego state rebuilt to contain a wider energy that cannot be explained by rebellion alone. In the old RC, the power to stand against authority and resist rules was emphasized. But with only that, it was difficult to fully explain people whose strength becomes more alive in difficulty, people who create special ideas, and people who push forward their own narrative. So in Torbit TA, SC was rebuilt by bringing together the characteristics of RC, which is now almost unused, and part of the intuitive and original power called the little professor. So the S in SC does not simply mean rebellion, it means special. It is energy that does not move only with the ordinary flow, but tries to become special in its own way. This specialness can go in two directions. If it becomes special by standing against adversity, hardship, and difficulty, it becomes the power of a hero who could be written about in a biography. If it becomes special by standing against law, ethics, morality, and order, it becomes the power of lawlessness that could even lead to prison. In other words, the core is direction, not the size of the energy. When we understand SC, we can see why some people become more alive as things become harder, and why some people create bigger problems with the same power. SC is not simply the former rebellious child. It is a strong driving force that pushes forward one's own life. So when reading this ego state, we need to see not how special the person is, but where that specialness is directed.